All right, and welcome in, everybody. Hope y'all are having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Take, and we are previewing Week 2 of the 2025 NFL season, giving you guys my picks and predictions. We got a drastic change to this segment before we start, because last week was 52 minutes. It was 50 minutes to over an hour last year. I hate that. I want it to be shorter. I want it to be an actual preview show and not a Garrett rambling for an hour on every single team. So there is a drastic change. I'm going to give you guys my top 5 games of the week. We're going to break them down, where just kind of briefly talk about what happened to each team last week, whether they win, lose, stuff, all that stuff like that, right? Very brief, just like a sentence or two, and then we will get into the game of this matchup. I will give you guys 3 keys for each team on how they can win, and we'll do that for number 5 through number 1, of course, and then at the end, I will throw something up on the screen for you guys that pretty much gives you guys my picks and predictions for every other game. So I apologize if your team doesn't make the cut in the top 5. It's not because I'm willingly omitting content. I really did not want to cut things out, just because I want to give every team their love. I want to give every team their fair share, right? But simply put, I mean, I can't do it. I'm not saying like I'm telling you guys no. I don't ever want to say that, but I cannot give a meaningful discussion about every single team in one video without it being that long, and I don't think that's good for everybody, even for me, where by the end my throat is dry. If I don't remember to cut the video in the middle, the audio falls out of sync with the video around the 50-minute mark, and so the quality begins to fall apart. And quite frankly, everyone's attention span on the internet now is nothing at this point. So I think it's going to be better for you guys. It's going to be easier for you guys to watch and to listen to me. It'll be easier on me in terms of just being able to talk, get everything out, and also editing will become a little bit easier as well. So that way we can also increase quality, where we are putting more emphasis on quality compared to quantity. So again, I apologize if this bothers anybody. I never want to tell anybody no. I never want to disappoint anybody. But I think this is a change that I think will be good for me, will be good for you guys. And so let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this new format, let me know. If you guys don't like it, let me know. And if you guys don't like it, then let's find a good middle ground where we can healthily still talk about the teams that we love and talk about the NFL the way we like to talk about it here on the Shoemake Take. So with that being said, that is the big change for the weekly preview series. The weekly recap series will also follow the same formula, which will start next week with the week 2 recap. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So with that being said, let's talk about NFL week 2, because my initial thoughts on week 2, looking at the slate of games here, it is one banging week of football. Out of all the weeks, looking at the slate of all of them, Week 2 is one of the best weeks on paper, in my opinion. Almost all of these games look very good. At least they have some good storylines, even for the ones that may not be particularly interesting. At least they have something going for them. There's not a lot of games here that are just straight up not interesting very much. And so last week was a little bit more of kind of felt like an easier way back into it. Had some good matchups, had some matchups that were kind of some that were just straight up not good. But you know what? It was a solid week of football. This week is an absolutely fantastic week of football. I'm excited. All the games were great. And when it came to making my top 5 games of the week, it was really hard. It was really hard. I had 9 or 10 games on the list, and I had to cut it down. And cutting it down was extremely difficult. So another disclaimer, I'll say it one more time, and then I won't mention it anymore. But if your team does not get mentioned on this list, I apologize. At the very least, I am still going to acknowledge every team and every game and give you my picks and predictions. Last week, I went 7-9 with my predictions. That was not very good. I was disappointed I did not get that many right, because the past couple years, I've been pretty darn accurate, picking almost 70% 2 years in a row. Now, I think last year I went over 70% picking games. So starting off 7-9, that's rough, but you know what? It's only week 1. We got 16 more games to go, And without further ado, let's begin. Here we go, starting with number 5. We got the Bears at the Detroit Lions. The Lions in their home opener. Chicago going on the road for the first time of the year. Bears, they looked fine last week outside of their fourth quarter collapse. That was really, really disappointing to watch. But overall, I thought this team had a good foundation. They look like a better football team under Ben Johnson. And so that's encouraging. That's exciting. And the Lions, they did not look like the Lions of old. They got smacked by the Packers. And that was disappointing. But then again, the Lions, we've talked about this. They have new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, got some new pieces on the offensive line. They don't have a lot of continuity that they had last year, especially compared to the Packers, where they have great continuity on their team and on their coaching staff, on their roster. So naturally, the Packers probably have the advantage there, and that's part of the reason why they won that game. But with this game with the Lions and the Bears, for the Bears, the 3 keys for them to beat the Lions, number 1, you got to be better on third down. They were struggling on third down, and a lot of it, especially in the second half, that allowed the Vikings to come back. And you don't ever want to give a team an opportunity to hang around when you're winning as much as they were. And when you can't convert on third down, that gives the opposing team's offense more opportunities to come back. And the Lions also struggled last week. So it's not just the Lions issue, it's a Bears issue, it's a Lions issue as well. So if you can beat the Lions on third down, that will help your chances of winning and beating them. And the number 2 is you got to run the ball better. The offense, the passing game looked pretty good. Like, there was a lot of things I was impressed with. Caleb Williams and DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet. Like, they all looked good. Colson Loveland caught a couple passes. So everything that I saw from a week 1 perspective looked very encouraging from that spot. But the running game still had its ups and downs, and I want to see more from DeAndre Swift. The offensive line and the pass protection looked a lot better than what it was last year. That's very encouraging. Run blocking was not that great, so it's not all on DeAndre Swift, but it needs to be better to help balance out the Bears' offense, help keep them on schedule and sustain drives, which also led to them not being able to convert on third down a lot because they were in third and long a lot in the second half. So those 2 things that go hand in hand, they both need to be better. Key number 3 is they got to limit the penalties. They had 12 penalties for 127 yards, second most in the NFL, only behind the Titans in terms of number of penalties and yards. So that needs to be cleaned up. The Lions, one thing is that they're going to be a well-coached football team. They're not going to commit very many penalties. So the Lions or the Bears cannot afford to commit a lot of penalties and shoot themselves in the foot. And right now, what I would say is an inferior opponent to the Lions. And then getting to the Lions side, number 1 is they got to get back to basics. Last week, they couldn't run the ball worth a crap, which for a Lions football team, they couldn't run the ball. That's insane. But their passing game was pretty good. That's encouraging. So at least they have something they can build off of going into this game. But the running game needs to be better. And the Vikings ran the ball decently well against the Bears. So it's not like it's going to be an absolute slugfest trying to get that going. I think the Lions have a chance to bounce back here and get that rolling once more. And that's what I mean getting back to basics. Just run the ball a little bit better. Help take some pressure off your offense. Do a little bit better on third down. A lot of the similar stuff that I mentioned when talking about the Bears. But for the Lions, it needs to be more of what they were in the past and what we've known them to be. So that's why I say get back to basics. Then key number 2, they got to contain the Bears defensive line. The Bears defensive line did a pretty good job in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. They got pressure on J.J. McCarthy a lot. They made him uncomfortable. And for the Bears, they are improved. I mean, they brought in Dio Odengbo. They brought in Grady Jarrett. So, I mean, the improvement on their defensive line was felt in week 1. You could see it. I noticed it. And so for the Lions offensive line that had a little bit of struggles, they got some new pieces. They got to be able to contain that in order to be able to run the ball better, be able to continue their strong pass protection for Jared Goff. So being able to contain that Bears defensive line is going to be paramount for them to be able to execute better and look better on offense this week. And then number 3, they got to get pressure on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was pressured sometimes in the Vikings game, but when the Vikings were able to get pressure and when they really got downhill and made Caleb Williams run around, more often than not, he wasn't able to make the big play. He had some really good throws, though, I'm going to be honest with you, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in that department. So if you can get pressure on Caleb Williams, make him uncomfortable, and more importantly, throw this offense off schedule, that is really going to help you win this game. And ultimately, who do I have winning? I think the Lions win this game. I think they bounce back here after a tough loss to a divisional opponent in Green Bay. You got another one here in week 2. Can't afford to go 0-2 to start the year. also go 0-2 in your division. So I think the Lions are going to be ready. I think they're going to bounce back and win this game against Chicago. Now we move to number 4. This one is going to be really interesting. It's the Super Bowl 59 rematch. The Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs. As I swallow here, I got a lot of saliva in my mouth. That's really weird. But this one is not going to be as good as the Super Bowl. Well, actually, no, I take that back. That's backwards because the Super Bowl was awful. In terms of an actual football game, it was terrible objectively. One team was great, the other one was awful. But this one, I think is going to be a little bit better because the Chiefs, they are at home, and even though that they lost a lot of pieces, especially on the defense, it was evident in their game against the Chargers. Justin Herbert went off on them. They did find their way in the second half and were able to bounce back, recover, and look a little bit more like their usual selves. So that is encouraging. And then for the Eagles, overall, they looked pretty good. Their defense was a little bit iffy, but that's because they lost a lot of veterans on their defense. They still have all the talent. Now they just need to regain some of that experience back, which I think they can later down the year. And then their offense was as good as always, but there was some problems that we will address here right now. Number 1, if the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs, you got to attack their defense. Just like what the Chargers did. They got up so big, so early because they were not afraid to attack their defense, and they got points, and it ended up being a lead that was too big for the Chiefs to come back from. The Eagles need to follow that same formula because if you can get up on the Chiefs, you can't let go. You can't let up. The same thing what they did in the Super Bowl. They got the lead, and they never gave it back. It's the same philosophy here, and how do you do that? Well, you got to run the ball well. Saquon Barkley's great and all. He looked good last week. But you got to get your receivers more involved. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith did next to nothing against the Cowboys. That has to change. You cannot beat the Chiefs just by running the ball a whole much and then just dumping it off to your tight ends and then maybe getting one deep shot to Jahan Dotson. That's not going to work. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are just as important to this offense as Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. So getting those two guys involved is going to be paramount in attacking this defense and keeping them guessing. And then number 3, no mistakes. Force mistakes. Same thing in the Super Bowl. If you do not make mistakes and you force mistakes, obviously that's easy enough said and done. But for the Eagles in particular, if you don't make mistakes, then not only will you have a better chance to win, but the Chiefs have a good tendency. Like, they're really good at getting points off of turnovers. This is not a issue for Kansas City. This is a thing they've done well for years now. So you need to be able to force mistakes, limit your mistakes, and limit the amount of times you keep Patrick Mahomes on the field. Do not let him get points off of your mistakes, and you can win this game. For the Chiefs, their margin for error is not very big. Because their roster is worse, you're still going against a very talented Eagles team. There are some things that they're going to have to do in order to make this win happen. And number 1 is you got to take what this defense gives you. They're going to smother a lot of things. The Eagles defense is going to be everywhere, flying around, no pun intended. So for the Chiefs, just take what the defense gives you. If only a running back's open for a check down, dump it off. If a simple 5-yard out is there, take it. Do not try and force anything because the Eagles defense is very talented, and the odds that you make a mistake and they capitalize off of it is very high. This is the most talented roster in all of football. So if you're the Chiefs, just take what the defense gives you. You don't need to force anything in order to beat them, just like what the Cowboys did. They didn't get George Pickens involved, but you know what? He got open for a couple plays when he was open, and it worked. CeeDee Lamb was great outside of the drops. He was getting open consistently, but the defense or the offense for the Dallas Cowboys was just taking what was there. The Chiefs, take what's there and you should be okay. Number 2, take all the time you need on offense. No need to rush. There's no need to start chucking it down the field a whole bunch, being the old Legion of Zoom that the Chiefs used to be when Mahomes was first entering the NFL. Same thing, going hand in hand with what taking what the defense gives you. Just dunk your way down the field. You don't have. The thing is, it doesn't matter about how long you take your drives. It really matters about you scoring points at the end of the day, no matter what that looks like. But even if you take your time, that's also a good thing. Keeping this offense off the field and not allowing them to get into a rhythm and get those receivers more involved, like I mentioned, will help you win this game. Just take what the defense gives you. No need to rush down the field. Just dink and dunk. Just play solid football. You don't need to do anything more than that. The Chiefs understand that. They've done that very well over the past couple of years, especially. So I expect them to be able to do that and bounce back and get their offense looking a little bit better. And then number 3, for the love of God, put a spy on Jalen Hurts. Jesus Christ, we don't need to be doing what the Dallas Cowboys did and let Jalen Hurts run all over them at will. No, put a spy on Jalen Hurts. Make sure that someone's covering him all game long and be able to limit his playmaking ability with his legs, and that'll help this defense that lost pieces slow down Philly's offense. Ultimately, who do I have winning this game? I think it's going to be the Chiefs, believe it or not. One thing that's kind of an anecdotal thing that's more or less analytical, the Chiefs have a strong home field advantage. No, everybody knows that. That's no secret. And while some people would agree, and I would kind of be like, I don't know, if you want to say the refs, because the refs always call in favor of the Chiefs when they're at home, it always seems like that. Like, am I really going to go down that path? No, but it is kind of interesting. Like, it's an interesting anecdotal thing to look at, but it is, home field advantage is a powerful thing. And for the Chiefs, I think they're too good of a football team. They're too well coached to fall to 0-2 in this situation. And while it's going to be a tough game, I think Kansas City is going to pull this one out and bounce back after a tough loss on the road against the Chargers. Now we move to number 3. In this one, continuing the AFC West, we got the Chargers at the Raiders on Monday Night Football. One of 2 games on Monday Night Football in a doubleheader. And here's the thing. Both of these teams looked good last week. The Chargers went all over the Chiefs. Justin Herbert cooked. He was fantastic in this game. The Chargers defense looked very solid. They still looked well coached. All the things that they did well last year continued as such. And then for the Raiders side, while it was close with New England, which is no surprise, not to me at least, the Raiders pulled away at the end. They continue to show why they look like an improved football team. They looked better coached, which with Pete Carroll, I would hope so. So that's very positive. Both teams came off week 1 looking very solid, looking better, and having some positive encouragement going forward. So now they face off, and whoever wins takes first place in the AFC West. And this game is important not just because it's an AFC West showdown, but because the Chiefs lost last week against the Chargers and have an admittedly decent chance of probably losing to Philly and starting 0-2. So if that happens, and then you look at the Broncos, who started off 0-1 and looked not great, especially on the offensive side of the ball against Tennessee, right now, whoever wins this game will have firm hold in the AFC West. So this game is very, very important early on. And for the Chargers, how are they going to win this game? Number 1, they got to let Justin Herbert cook. The run game struggled admittedly last week. Omarion Hampton got the start. The rookie out of North Carolina was not great, but there's reasons for that. And the thing is, the Patriots also did a decent job of, the Chargers also, the Patriots, oh my goodness, woo! The Patriots also struggled to run the ball against the Raiders. The Raiders did a good job last week of containing TreVeyon Henderson. So there is a chance that Justin Herbert's going to have to deliver again like he did last week, and I'm all for that. If Justin Herbert needs to throw to win the game, let him cook. He's a generational quarterback. He's a generational talent. He's one of the best in the NFL. Why not put the ball in the hands of your quarterback and let him go make plays? I don't know if you can hear my garbage can opening and closing. I don't know why it's doing it on its own. I need to go turn it off. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing that. But with that being said, number 2, got to get after Geno Smith. Got to get pressure on him. The Raiders allowed 4 sacks last week, so that's not great. And also the Chargers defense was very good last week against the Chiefs. Getting after him and making him struggle, especially because Ashton Jeanty struggled last week. Last week was not a good week for rookie running backs at all, except for, Bill Krosky, the rookie in Washington, who we'll talk about here at the end. But especially because Ashton Jeanty didn't run the ball all that well, getting after Geno is going to be important, because if you can contain Ashton Jeanty, it's going to make it that much easier for you to get after Geno, get pressure on him, and if you can make him uncomfortable, that will help you win. And then number 3, this is going to be the same one for the Raiders as well, so we'll just put it right here. I'll say it once. They got to win the small battles. These are 2 really good coaches, really good experienced coaches that are going against one another. In this type of situation, got to win the small battles. Just win on 3rd down, win on 1st down, win the turnover battle, win time of possession. All those things that people don't really, I should say they don't look at it. That's not the right way to go about it. But things that, like, as a casual fan, you probably wouldn't be paying attention to all that much unless it was really drastic, like a team had 4 turnovers or something, or dominated time of possession by more than 10 minutes. something like that, right? So it's winning the small battles and just doing the little things right. If you think about it like you're in a boxing match, you're not constantly trying to bring haymaker after haymaker, just slamming punches as hard as you can every time. No, it's about setting up the big punch, right? You got a jab here, jab there, and then once that face is open, boom, land a right hook and deal some actual damage. And even then, continuing, you want to go up here for that hook, they go to block it. Okay, it's open, boom, get him in the chest, get him in the stomach, in the abdomen. Get them where it hurts, where they're leaving themselves open. Doing the small things right will allow you to land the big punch later. Then we move on to the Raiders side of it. And number one, for them, getting Ashton Jeanty involved is going to be paramount. Again, the Raiders allowed 4 sacks, and you're going to go against a good Chargers defense. Being able to run the ball with Ashton Jeanty is going to help alleviate some of that pressure and help you stay competitive in this game. Ashton Jeanty is a top draft pick. You need to get him involved early and often. I want to see that for the Raiders. And then number 2, just like the Chargers getting after Geno, got to get after Justin Herbert for the same reason. Running the football was a struggle last week, so it's going to put more pressure on Justin Herbert to make throws on time and make them in the clutch when they need to be made. If you can stop the run and get after Justin Herbert, things might work in your favor. And again, with number 3, winning the small battles. And for the Raiders in particular, here's a big test for you, because the Chargers were a playoff team last year. The Raiders spent all this time trying to get competitive to compete with the rest of this division that were all in the playoffs. Here is your moment to step up and show that you belong. If you can come in here and win this game against the Chargers on Monday Night Football, it would be a statement win for Pete Carroll, for the team, for the franchise, that things might be turning around for the better. But ultimately, who do I have winning this game? I think it's going to be the Chargers right now. I have more faith in them at the moment, and that's not any, bad talk on the Raiders. It's just the Chargers have more continuity. They're known for being good as of last year. That's a weird comment. Weird way to say that, but they've been good. I have more reason to believe in the Chargers right now than the Raiders, but the Raiders did not disappoint in week 1. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. A lot of high stakes, and it's going to come down to the wire. I just think the Chargers come out on top. Then we move to number 2 on the list. On Sunday Night Football, it's the Atlanta Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings. Michael Penix versus J.J. McCarthy. Michael Penix making his 5th start, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, his 5th start, and then J.J. McCarthy in his 2nd. 2 young quarterbacks in the same draft class going at it. The Falcons on offense looked good last week. Zach Robinson got these guys ready to go, their offensive coordinator, and the Falcons offense picked up where they left off last year. Their defense looked a lot better. Not only were they around the ball, they were swarming the ball, they looked disciplined, they looked better coached, and also they played with a lot more confidence. You could feel that. It was reflective in how competitive they were on that side of the ball. And so I'm going to look for them to continue that in this game. And then for the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy's first start, was it pretty? No. But ultimately, what did he do? He came back and he won the game. And you know what? For someone that's been out on J.J., not say out, but been not as high on J.J. McCarthy, you know what? He played decently well in his first start. He came back, got a win on the road in prime time. That's impressive. You saw that stuff in Michigan all the time. So to see him continue that here in the NFL, that's positive encouragement for me. So I'll give credit where credit is due. These 2 quarterbacks are going to be fun to watch in this game. But for the Falcons, how are they going to win this game? Number 1, got to continue that defensive success like I mentioned. Got to be aggressive. The Vikings' weapons, this offense is a good offense, just like Tampa. They're loaded with weapons, got a good offensive line. You got to play with that same mentality because the Vikings are going to come after you. They're going to take their shots. They're going to attack you where they think they can attack you. So for the Vikings, or for the Falcons, they need to continue their aggression, continue playing with that confidence, and do not let them take that away from you. If you can play with confidence and play with that violence and ferocity that they did, that'll help this offense a lot with being able to sustain drives, not have to be on the field a whole lot, and it makes their job easier. So being able to continue what they did last week against Tampa is going to be important. And then number 2, get pressure on J.J. McCarthy. One thing the Bears did decently well last week was being able to get pressure on him. He struggled, had to run around, made some errant throws, And right now, this is his second ever start. So if you can get pressure on him, you have a chance to make turnovers. They have really good playmakers. Also, shout out to safety for the Falcons, Xavier Watts, the rookie out of Notre Dame. He played really good last week. So here's to him hoping to have a better game and continue his progression. But you got to get pressure on JJ. Got to force him to make turnovers. He's probably going to make mistakes in this game. He's his second ever start, like I said. So being able to get that done will help this defense a lot. And then number 3, the offense needs to play well. You're going up against a good defense here in Minnesota, and a defense that has the continuity compared to the offense that has a new quarterback. So they're probably going to have to lean on their defense a little bit if JJ McCarthy struggles. So if the defense can get their advantages and get their wins against the Falcons offense, that'll allow the Vikings to stay in this game. And if JJ McCarthy's clutch gene is actually legit, it'll take over in this game and he'll win just because of that alone. So the Falcons need to stay on schedule on offense. They need to execute and do not let this defense slow them down too much, or else it's going to allow the Vikings a chance in JJ McCarthy to potentially show again what he could be and come back and win. And then for the Minnesota Vikings on their side of things, they're in their home opener. What do they got to do? They got to attack this defense. Like I said, with the other side, conversely, with the Falcons being able to continue their aggression, their confidence, you got to attack this defense. They're not going to be afraid of you. Show that you're not afraid of them. You got the weapons. Make it happen. Take your shots down the field. Be aggressive. Do not worry about too much turnovers. Don't worry about things going out of hand and letting this defense get too much for you. Right now, I would just say the Vikings have nothing to lose. No, that's not right. But right now, the Vikings should not be afraid to let JJ McCarthy do what he does. I'm sure that they already have that in mind, but I want to see it on the field. I want to look at this offense just attacking this defense, doing what they've been known to do over these past couple of years under Kevin O'Connell. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. It's going to be important for them to win. And then along with that, got to help JJ McCarthy. How do you help JJ McCarthy? Well, the protection up front's got to be a little bit better. It wasn't as impressive as I thought it would be week 1, considering that they overhauled this offensive line a bit, bringing in Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. So that's not great, but there's a real good chance for them to bounce back here because admittedly, the Falcons defensive line isn't very good on paper. Your best player is Leonard Floyd, and that's it. And I would say the next best player is maybe James Pierce Jr. I know that's kind of a push because there's a bunch of veterans on the defense, but they need to play better, and the offensive line has a really good chance to bounce back. And then also the run game was not perfect, but had some good moments. I just want to see that be a little bit more consistent and continue for that to develop and be strong for the Vikings. Do those two things well, and you will help JJ McCarthy perform in this environment. And then number 3, you got to be better on third down. The Vikings were not good enough in the first half. It allowed the Bears to get up very big on them, and you don't want that to happen again because you cannot win football games constantly getting down and having to come back. It's not going to work that way. So being able to stay on schedule, do better on third down will help this offense and help this team overall be competitive in beating the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, who do I have? Winning? That's a tough one. It's going to be a really close game. That's why I have it at number 2. Right now, give me the Falcons to win. Give me the Falcons to bounce back here on the road after a very tough loss to Tampa at the last minute. I think that's going to motivate them. I think they're going to be driven, and they're going to get the win on the road in Minnesota. Then we get to our true best game of the week, number 1. And of course, it's the first game of the week, Thursday Night Football. The Commanders on the road against the Green Bay Packers. Both teams looked great last week. The Packers smacked down on the Lions. The Commanders smacked down on the Giants. Both of them beating up on divisional opponents, which is encouraging and motivating for them. And what do I want to see from the Commanders side, first and foremost? Got to run the ball. Not that they needed to run the ball better. They ran the ball really well. Their rookie running back, Bill Krosky Merritt, I think is, Bill Krosky Merritt. I think he wants to go by Bill, but I can't remember what his actual first name is. I'm sorry. I just remember that he wants to go by Bill, apparently. So if that's what he wants to be called, we're going to call him Bill. So Bill Krosky Merritt looked really encouraging in his first game, especially after trading away Brian Robinson, which was a little iffy, but seeing what he did in week 1, Okay, that's encouraging. Having a good run game for the Commanders is very important, not just for their offensive balance, but also for Jaden Daniels, because he's a good runner of the football. That helps keep that element of your offense open. So being able to run the ball well against a Packers team that did a really great job, admittedly, of taking down the Lions' run game, they're going to need to run the ball early, run it often, get those guys involved, because that is the engine of your offense. I want to see that going, and it's going to be tough against the Packers defense. Like I said, did a good job, but I expect them to have some success. And then number 2, I want to see a little bit more consistency from the wide receivers. I'll say this, Deebo Samuel played really good last week. He had 7 catches for almost 80 yards, had a rushing touchdown, I think of 19 yards. That was really exciting and encouraging. He looked pretty good in week 1, so that's encouraging, and kudos to Deebo Samuel. Good for you, my friend. But other than that, the other receivers need to step up. No one else had more than 3 catches, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that. While the distribution wasn't a big problem, it's the fact that other than Deebo Samuel, no one was catching a high volume of passes and being a real impact playmaker throughout the course of the game. So I want to see more consistency from these receivers. I want to see them getting open more often, and you got to use them more. And there's going to be a good opportunity to use them more, because number 3 is... never mind. Excuse me. That's backwards. That is backwards. My bad. But even then, I guess it's still, I was going to say attack the corners. That's the key number 3 for the Packers. But I guess it's the same thing. I would say the corners are probably the worst part of the Packers secondary. I would not be wrong in saying that, I don't think. So sure, if you want to make that a key, fine. Make it a bonus 4th one out of nowhere. But number 3 actually is going to be stopping Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, in the limited action that he played in for the Packers, he was a menace. He was a nasty, nasty boy going up that against the Lions' offensive line. And guess what? The Commanders aren't as good up front as the Lions. So Micah Parsons on a higher snap count this week, now that he's a little bit more settled in, if you're not prepared to stop Micah Parsons, he is going to wreck your game plan. That's what he's done all his time in the NFL, is wreck game plans week after week. So stopping him is paramount, considering how much of an impact he made in week 1, and he barely played. So if he plays more snaps, good luck. You better figure out how to stop him, because if you don't, he is going to cause a lot of problems. And then you get to the Packers side of it, and same thing for them. Run the ball. The Packers ran the ball decently last week. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. So being able to get Josh Jacobs going early and often against the Commanders defense that did a really great job stopping the Giants offense, which admittedly, look, the Giants offense, it was a mess. The whole thing was a mess last week. So you're going up against a better football team, or a better run defense than Detroit, I think. No, am I getting... That's the hard part. I'm flip-flopping between all these teams and trying to keep them all in order, and it's trying to do it on the fly is a little bit difficult. I haven't done this in a year, so I apologize. But for the... Oh my God, sorry to cut off for a second, but oh my God, the freaking garbage can opened up again. Are you kidding me? But either way, they gotta be able to run the ball well. It's important. And Jordan Love looked good last week, so I don't have concerns about Jordan Love per se, but being able to run the ball better with Josh Jacobs is important, and you might have a chance against this Commanders defensive line, which was disappointing last year for the most part. That's kind of where I was getting at. There we go. And now it's all out there. But continuing, number 2, and this one's going to be a little bit interesting, but I want the Packers to get a little bit chippy. I want them to get a little bit rough with the Commanders, because obviously, with how good Jaden Daniels looked last week, the big narrative in the NFL, one of the big narratives, is that Jaden Daniels in year 2 and what he's going to look like. And I'm going... So, get a little bit chippy. They're going into your house on prime time. The Packers, people... a lot of people are talking about the Packers. They traded for Micah Parsons. Fine. But a lot of people are rightfully so, at least, talking about Jaden Daniels. And for the Packers, here's the thing. The Packers are kind of like that Super Bowl contender that everyone just kind of talks about, oh yeah, they're good, and then no one really elaborates anything more. The Packers, with Micah Parsons, has a chance to be a true Super Bowl contender in 2025. And so I'm not going to shy away from the Packers. I'm going to give them their love and their appreciation for that. And the Packers should let that motivate them, because a lot of people are talking about Jaden Daniels. I want to see the Packers get a little bit chippy and remind everybody the Packers are also a great football team and they can win too. They can go the distance too. So the Packers getting a little bit chippy, get a little drama going. Why not? Let's see it happen. This is the best game of the week. It's on prime time. Let's see it happen. And then number 3, I should say, like I said with the Commanders, attack the corners. Just attack the corners. The corners are probably the weakest part of the Commanders' defense. Arguably, it shouldn't be, but it is still a position group that I have my concerns about. So I want to see the Packers and Jordan Love attack these corners, get after them a little bit, and make Marshawn Lattimore uncomfortable. Your second corner is Trey Amos, the rookie out of Ole Miss. Mikey Sanders still is in the slot where he's more comfortable, so I don't have any issues with Sanders still, but these outside corners are going to be challenged with a wide receiving core that has a lot of depth, that's going to have a lot of guys bouncing in and out, running out fresh, and the depth for the Commanders' corners is not as good as the depth for the Packers' receivers, so they're going to be tested a lot. So if you're the Packers, attack them, throw on them a little bit, and that'll also help you be able to run the ball better with Josh Jacobs. So that being said, that is my top 5 games of the week. Again, if your team did not get mentioned, I'll say it one more time for the heck of it. I am sorry, but I'm going to throw something on the screen right now. I don't know if this is what we're going to stick with. It's kind of a haphazard graphic, if I'm being honest. It could be better. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't know what this graphic looks like yet. I'm recording it, and then after I edit it, I'm going to make the graphic then. So whatever it looks like is what it looks like. Is it going to be permanent? I don't know quite yet. It depends on how it turns out. If it looks good, let me know. If it doesn't look good, let me know about that too. But here are the rest of my picks right here. I'll just list them off as well. Let me get back to my script here, and here we go. Number 1, Giants-Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys. Cowboys looked really good last week, surprisingly, and the Giants looked awful. Right now, the Cowboys I have more faith in. I still think they're the better football team. Well, actually, I'll take that back. I thought the Giants would be better this year. I guess that remains to be seen, but give me the Cowboys. And then Seahawks and Steelers, give me the Steelers to win. I think they continue what they did last week against the Jets. Their offense is going to need to continue to impress. Their defense needs to bounce back. And the Seahawks, while they were a little disappointing week 1, I kind of expected this. The offense didn't really get going all that much, but I called this out. I said this is going to take some time for them to get going. But right now, I think the Steelers win at home. And then the next one, Jags at the Bengals. Give me the Jaguars to win this game and start 2-0, believe it or not. And mostly because the Jaguars offense showed some positive things. Travis Etienne looked good. And the Bengals side of things, they looked lethargic and slow against the Browns week 1. And obviously, they don't play well in Cleveland. And also, they start slow. So this is nothing new for the Bengals. But right now, I mean, the Jaguars look good and they're rolling right now. So let me pick the Jaguars to win. And then next one, Bills-Jets. Give me the Bills. The Jets looked really good last week, admittedly. They looked really strong on offense. Shout out to their offensive staff for helping Justin Fields and helping this running game get going. Breece Hall looked really, really good. But here's the thing. The Bills are a Super Bowl contender, and the Bills should be aggressive. They should be able to beat the Jets by multiple scores, admittedly. The Bills are a much better football team. And while the Jets looked good last week, I mean, the Bills are much better than Pittsburgh. So I think the Bills should win this game pretty handily. But if the Jets continue to be competitive, we might have to have a conversation about what they could actually do in 2025 and if I'm going to be wrong about them. But then the next one here, got Titans and the Rams. I have the Rams winning one. I'm not going to sugarcoat that the Rams are probably going to destroy the Titans. The defense is going to get their way on this offensive line. Cam Ward is going to be fine, but with the rest of the offensive ineptitude that they showed last week, I have not a lot of excitement about what they can do against a better defense in the Rams than the Broncos, at least right now, although that remains to be seen. Maybe the Broncos is going to be better, but their defensive line, though, I think is going to be just as good. But with that being said, let's move on to the next one. The Patriots at the Dolphins. I think the Patriots win. Dolphins looked like crap last week. The Patriots, while they looked like a week 1 team with the new head coach, you know what? There were some things to like, and with how bad the Dolphins looked, if they can just contain the Dolphins offense and sustain their drives and just play solid, consistent football that Mike Vrabel has been known to do, they will win this game. They're also they're on the road too. Not that they're at home again. No, they're on the road, so tough environment. But I think that they are going to win this game. Then 49ers at the Saints. Give me the 49ers. 49ers had some positive things in week 1. They looked like a better football team than last year. They looked better coached, especially on defense. And for the Saints, they looked pretty decent last week. They weren't bad like I thought they would be. But I still think the 49ers are a better football team, so give me them to win this game. And then next one, Browns at Ravens. Give me the Ravens. They are a much better football team than the Browns. I know the Browns did a good job last week stopping the run and whatnot, but it's kind of the same thing with the Bills and Jets. The Ravens are a much better football team. They are at home. They should dismantle the Browns. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then Broncos and Colts. Give me the Broncos to win and bounce back. The Colts looked really good last week, especially on offense. But is it more of the Colts themselves being good or the Dolphins being bad? I'm not really sure about that yet. But I think right now the Broncos are still a better football team. And I think they bounce back and win here in this game. And then next one. Panthers at the Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals to win. Panthers week 1 was very disappointing. Bryce Young was disappointing. The Cardinals looked solid in week 1. They had to lead the whole time, kept the Saints in check, and were able to do a lot of little things right, which is encouraging to see for the Cardinals. So right now, I think the Cardinals are better. Give me them to win and start 2-0. Wow, look at that. I had them going 5-12, and they might start 2-0. Look at that. But then on Monday Night Football, the first one of the doubleheaders is the Bucs on the road against the Houston Texans. Give me the Bucs to win. The Bucs, while they had their offensive miscues, are going up against Texans defense. That is very, very good. So that's probably going to be the same. But the thing is, the Bucs defense should have a field day. The Texans offensive line was garbage, as I expected, and I can expect for that to continue. Although CJ Stroud's going to bounce back. He's going to play better. These receivers are going to play better. But this offensive line is still going to continue to be a disaster. And I think that's going to be the edge that the Bucs need to win this game. Then, after that is actually it. Boom. There we go. That's the end of the list. I was going to go as rapid fire as I can, but also kind of like give at least a couple sentences of elaboration for each team. But with that being said, that's it. That's my week 2 picks and predictions, hoping that we're going to do better this week instead of going 7-9. So if we're better, great job by me. But that is going to do it for this video today. I hope that this video was better for you guys in terms of length, and we continue to work on it and get better at it. But continuing with our outro, if you guys have made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. It helps the channel out tremendously as I continue to try and grow and spread my football passion to more of you guys here on this platform and allow to help us build the community that we're building right now. We are trying to reach 500 subscribers before the end of the 2025 regular season. So if you guys can get the word out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get people locked in and locked on to the ShumakeTake. It's going to help a lot. Love what you guys are doing. You guys are doing a great job. You did a phenomenal job in the offseason. Let's continue that streak going. Also, what do you guys think of my picks and my predictions? Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? And why? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Lastly, make sure you guys share this video and follow me on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff, just to continuing to spread and grow the channel and grow our community. With that being said, that is going to do it for us today. I love you. Appreciate you. And as always, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.